Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So what I want us to do is I want us to have categories here, okay, so that we can click on a category and then we just see courses in that particular category. And also we do have categories down here, and I want this part to repeat with different categories down here. Alrighty then. Okay, so let me refresh this and see what happens. Okay, so we're just going to repeat this part down here with different category, and then when we click on the category name, it should show that right there. Okay, great. So first thing is, let's load the categories here, and let's have a page that simply loads the particular items when we select them. Okay, so on the just a minute here on the blog. Okay, so none of these are clickable anyway. We need a way to display these guys, but what we need first is a categories page, of course. So but before that, let's load categories here. So what I'm going to do is we go to the controllers a page, and we are looking for the home page. So on the home page, this is where we load our courses. So this one right here, read all courses, that's the one we have. So right on this one, let's just duplicate this one like this. And since we have the category model, I'm not sure if we are already using this. Now, since we already have namespaces like this, we can remove the category model at the end. Let's fix that real quickly. And let me rename this and change that at the end. Category like that. Okay. At least because it's in a different namespace, so that's cool. All right, so good, we have that. And right here on course, let's do category as well, like that. Okay, so let's go category is equal to new category. Okay, now in order to read all the categories, let's just replace this with that, so that the right model reads that, and we just say categories like so. Okay, now we need to know the criteria for reading here in the where clause. So I think disabled is the right one because there's a disabled here, and so disabled must be equal to 0. So let's go with disabled 0 there. And descending, and then 7. Okay, so just a little thing we can do here to switch things up a little bit, but before we do that, let's just see if we can actually read these things. Then I'm going to switch. It can be a bit difficult to remember what the second param is and the third one is. Here, this is the order. We are ordering in descending order, and then this is the limit, and then we might want to add an offset, etc., etc. So it may become a little confusing to know which comes first here, because if you swap them, then they don't work. So an easier way would be to name them so that we can specifically add what we want to add here. So we're going to do that right after we add these categories where they need to be added. So let me hold that thought for a second. Let's go to our views and let's go to the home page. All right. So I'm looking for the categories drop down. So this is the hero images. This is the first row. Okay, so this is not the place we're supposed to go to our header. Oh, nav, actually, navigation. So this is the one right here, categories, and then it's got one result, search result, and then there's these guys in here, and then they also have sub drop downs here. So even sub drop downs do work here, which is pretty nice. Let's get back here and see that. Yep, you can have a sub drop down, which is pretty cool. Okay, but we won't be needing any of this. We just want the way the basic stuff looks. So if I remove this part right here, let's see. Okay, so we can always go back to this by just checking the original page. So that's fine. And then we have this list down here. So just one of these is enough. Because it's a repeat, so let's just leave one of these like so. Wait, why is there, oh, okay, another list there. That's cool. Let me see where we're at if I refresh. Okay, there we go, pretty good. Okay, so at this point I just want to check if my item is not empty. So I'll say if not empty categories. So if categories exist, then let's do what we want to do. Now there's an issue here we might end up with, because this header is always read from regardless where we are. It's not just on the home page. So where we loaded these categories is in the home page. So if we leave the home page for some reason, then we're going to have a problem because the items won't show. I'm going to show that in a minute. Let's come down here. And let's do end if, like so. All right. Let's move things a little bit inward, like that. Great. Now we're looking for this. So since it's not empty, then let's loop through it. So I'll duplicate these guys, move them inward. Let's change our if to a for each, like that. And then let's move categories and then say as cat. Sorry, cat, like that. Short for category. And then let's echo cat category, like that, because that's the column name we are trying to read. All right, so with that in mind, let's refresh and let's go. So there we go. We have all our categories here, which is pretty cool. Now we needed to go somewhere when we click on these things. Now we're going to create a link. So quite a bit to do here. We're going to create a link here. Now, of course, root should be there as the first item. And then we need a page name. So we're going to just call this one category. So it's pretty obvious what we are doing. But then how do we identify which category it is? We could put the ID like this. Just say cat ID, like that. This is pretty reasonable. However, it could be better. So let's see here. If I now click on this, it will take me to, you see, category /14. But the problem I mentioned earlier is where categories here, I cannot, there's no more drop down here because we're no longer on the home page, which is the one that's reading the categories. So this is a bit of a problem. So instead of doing this, let's put the thing that queries categories inside a function instead, or we can use a static class or something similar so that we can activate it here in the navigation. Well, we could do it just right there, I guess. Just move the code to there. But I kind of do not like adding code, a lot of logic code in here. So this is why I will wait a minute. Which is why I don't want to add things here. Instead, let's add a function instead. Much easier. So let's go to core and functions. anywhere really we can add this function. It doesn't have to be specific. So we'll say function get categories, like that. Okay, so just to get categories. Now we could put an option here where we say if somebody provides an ID, then let's get a very specific category. But if they don't, we just get all of them. So this is optional at this point. Alrighty then. So now let's return. Let's return what we, why am I putting a $sign on return? Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, there we go. Now what I want is to grab this and put it here. Let me grab this one right here. I'll just copy this one just in case we may need it later. Let me paste there. Okay, so we grab that and then return this category where disabled 10, something like that. So get categories now returns everything, but we can tell it if ID is something, then let's do something else. So I'm going to do this, and we'll put an if statement and say if ID, then let's use the ID. Otherwise, let's do an else and return the other thing. We don't really need this like that. We can just do that. That's good enough. Okay, pretty cool. Now, in the where clause here, we want, okay, so if the ID is good here, we're going to do this, and then we're going to put a comma and add ID and point to it using ID like that. So it becomes part of the if statement, and limit 1, I guess. That should do. Reading. Okay, pretty cool. So get categories becomes our thing. So let me go to the navigation now, and right about here, let me just do things at the top there and say categories is equal to get categories, like so. That should do the trick. So back here, if I now refresh my page, I should have my categories here, which I do actually. So if I click, you see this is what we get. Now the only problem with this is that, let's say this page is visited a lot on your website and Google indexes this page. So there's category and then there's /12. So when somebody is searching for your content, we don't know what category 12 is. In this case, it's music, I think. Yes. So that's music. Now, the link itself doesn't show anything that relates to music. So this is not very SEO friendly because Google might not know what somebody, if somebody types music, it would be better if our link has music at the end, like so. So it becomes category /music, then it's very obvious what we're talking about here. So to make that possible, we're going to add another column here and call it slug. So let me go to our thingy here and add new column. Let's call it slug, shall we? And then variable character, 100 characters like that, and save. Okay, good. Now it has nothing at this point here, but that's okay. We're going to create a script to fill in the blanks here very soon. But so far so good. Let's just change the link here. Instead of cat ID, we change that to slug, even though the slugs are now empty. So let's refresh, come back, and if I now hover on one of these, I click on music, it shows me an empty at the end, which is fine for now because we haven't added anything. At least things are working. That's cool. Okay, so from there now, let's fill in the blanks of this one. So we're going to create a very simple script. Now this script is going to read from the database it will read everything from here, get all categories, and then loop through the categories and then insert in here. So the ID, it will grab the ID, get the category name, and then insert here. So we do have a, what is this? If we go to functions, there's a function called string to URL, right? That's our function right there. That creates our slug. So what we do is, let's go to the navigation. We should only run this once. So once we finish running this, we're going to delete this code right here. So I'm just going to loop through the categories. So let's go like that. We don't really need the key. We just need the rows that come from here. Alrighty then. So with this in mind, wait a minute. Only problem is I do not have the... It'll be easier if I use the category class. It's much easier to insert things, so I don't have to type queries. Oops, never add instantiations inside a loop. That's just a bad idea, because every time it loops, it's going to create a new instance of this, so that's just insane. Anyway, what I want to do is use this class to insert things, to update actually. So let's do update. What we're going to need is the ID of that row we're updating. So I'll do ID, and then we'll need the information. So I just want to update the slug, and then what information do I give it? I'm going to use the string to URL function, like this, okay? Whatever the result of that, but I will supply a category name in there, like that. Pretty cool. So while we loop, we're going to update this content. Now, in order for this to be updatable in the category model, where is this? Category. We need to accept slugs as well here. So slug now is part of what we can edit. Alrighty then. So let's just run this once and it should fill in the blanks. So I'm just going to refresh this one time, come back here and click there, and I should see good stuff here. Now, as you can see, the name here represents that, but I'm just wondering why we did not get these guys. Interesting indeed. Let me refresh once more and let's click. Nothing. So the top guys are not there, but why? Let's see, are they here? It doesn't seem like they're here, so that's probably why. But why are they not here? What's going on here? Let's go back to functions. Let's go down to this function, get categories. Why isn't it getting all the categories? Disabled to 0. Oh, because it limits the content that we are getting. Right. Okay, so let me just put 100 on these guys, just to make sure that we got everyone. Back here, and let's refresh one time. Let's refresh here. Oh no, it's not working either. Okay, what I will do is, let me change this to ascending order, just so it starts from the other side, because it seems it's starting from here. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Yeah, pretty much. But let's refresh and see. The ascending order might swap things a little. Wow, nothing still. Interesting. Good. So what I wanted to do is change how this works here, how we supply the descending and ascending order and the limit. Now, this is the where function, which we conveniently have in the model.php function. So let's take a look what's going on there. And there it is. Oh, wait a minute, we already did this. Yeah, we already did this. Very cool. All right, I actually forgot we did this already because it's been a while. But this is nice, so we can do this in our thingy here. So these are useless. What we needed to do was say, let me come down here, say category let's say wait a minute, order limit. Okay, so I'll just say order. I'll leave the order thingy. Let me just change the limit to 100 like this. So this is pointless here, just like this. What I could do is just grab this, put it here, and say limit 1 like that. Okay, pretty good. So back here, let me refresh this one time and refresh there, and we have slugs for everybody. Very good. Now, which means if I come down here and hover on one of these, you see that if I click, let's say music, I get category /music, which makes more sense. Same thing here, health, fitness, and personal development. That's more SEO friendly. So then we need to read information based on this URL. Let's do that in the next video.